What makes this a problematic window is the fact that the window opening was actually too large for the window. So now that I've pulled this all apart, this is the only window that wasn't trimmed out the way the rest of the windows were, and when I pulled it apart I discovered what had happened. The opening is just too large. A piece of 3/4 material that you would typically put in here will just slide under the window, and at the top it's even worse. There's a big gap. Today I'm going to show you how to fix that. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Deerdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Let's trim out a window. If you'd like to get an amazing shirt like this, I've put a link down in the description to my store. You can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee cups, hats. It's really cool. Check it out. I need to get some insulation around this window before I get started. We're going to be using Great Stuff Door and Window. It's just a product that I prefer. It doesn't expand. It doesn't make a big mess when you use it. It's a really good product. It gets in the small areas. It fills it up nice and tight. And the other nice thing about this product is it dries soft and flexible, so it can expand and contract with the window. It does expand as it dries, but it doesn't, like the other Great Stuff, it doesn't just get crazy. So it won't push the window around. Now that the Great Stuff door and window insulation is dry, I've trimmed it back where it billowed out some. And I'm going to go get my top and my bottom board cut. I'm going to use 1x4 pine, and I'm going to need to cut it at 36 inches. And we'll go get that cut and we'll be right back. Now that I have these cut to length, I need to go out to the table saw and cut them to the correct width. They are way too wide for what I need. And what you want to do in this instance is measure all the way around the window and find your narrowest measurement and cut it all that way. And then when you set it in here, you can pull it out. It may leave a slight gap along the window, which can be caulked in. Now that I have these cut to width and length, I'm going to take some of this 1/4 inch by 2 inch and I'm going to make some spacers. This is just a hobby board that I picked up at the big box store, and you can get them fairly thin. I didn't need anything super thick in here, so I decided that this would be the ticket. So I'm going to get some cut the exact same width as this, the 2 3/8, and we're going to get these installed. With my spacers cut, I'm just going to slide them up underneath. And I'm going to push them back in a little bit further than what this inside casing is going to stick out. Once I get the casing flush with the wall, I'm going to go ahead and just put one pin in here, and then I'm going to get this side adjusted where I want it and get one pin in there. So I want to make sure that it's flush with the outside and not worry about the small gap that's being left inside, because it's not exactly straight. So now that I'm happy with everything across the face, I'm going to go ahead and put some more pins in this and just get it locked in there. I'm good with that. Let's get the top one in. The top has an even bigger gap than the bottom, but these are going to work out. It's going to bring it right there, which I'm perfectly happy with. So I'm just going to push them back in there. A little closer to the edge. I want to leave them where I can see them for right this second, and then I'll push them back in when I nail it. Alright, I'm going to get one pin right here. I'm going to come down here and get happy with this. That does leave me a slight gap right through here, but that's no big deal. The caulk will fill that right in and we won't have an issue with it. I'm going to go ahead and get these other two pieces cut to length and we're going to get them in. Then we can get some trim on this. Now that I have the side of the casing cut to length, I'm going to go ahead and get them nailed in. It's important that you put the top and the bottom in first, and it doesn't matter if they're a little bit short. But when you put the sides in, they need to be very snug so that you don't wind up with a gap at the top or at the bottom. And they'll also help to hold everything else in place. So we're going to push them in there. They're nice and tight. We're going to make sure that they're flush here. These were all cut at the same width. So everything should work out just fine. And then we're just going to get a few nails in it. And that's all you really need. We're going to do the exact same thing over here on this side. Get it pushed into place. Nice and snug. And there we go. Now I'm ready to get my trim cut, and I'm going to be using my T-bevel and my Saw Set Pro. If you haven't seen my video on this tool, this is an amazing tool for figuring out your miters. This is a miter protractor. The handiest thing you can have if you're doing any trim work or anything like that. It's going to save you a lot of aggravation and frustration. So I'm going to take my T-bevel and I'm going to set it up in the corner. I'm going to get it to the exact angle that this inner casing is. I'm going to snug up this thumb nut right here, lock it into place, double check it. Now I'm going to go to the double miter side of the Saw Set Pro, and I'm going to set my T-bevel in here just like this and get my reading on the inside of that scale. And that is a 45. I'm going to check all four corners and then I'm going to get this trim cut. When it comes to measuring the trim, I want there to be an 1/8 of an inch reveal, meaning I want to be able to see 1/8 of an inch of this inner case. So when I get my measurement, I'm just going to add 1/4 of an inch to that, and that'll give me this inside measurement. I'm going to burn 1 inch. (24 3/4). I have all my trim cut, and I'm going to get this first piece on right here on this side. And what I'm going to do is just kind of guess it at the top, and I'm going to put one pin in to hold it in place. So this is about 1/8 of an inch reveal, just one pin. Now I'm ready for the top piece. I'll get that fitted, and I'll just put one pin down there, and then I'm going to continue on just like that. So I can already see I put this on just slightly too high. So I'm just going to use this piece of trim to kind of pull it down and bend that pin just a little bit. Now that I've manipulated that more of where I want it, I'm going to just go ahead and set this one in there where it belongs and check the reveal on this one. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and get a pin in this one. Just one pin. It'll set right up here. It's all lined up nice. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I like that. One pin. Just like that. And I'm going to fit my bottom piece in here. Just kind of push these in where they go. I believe my bottom piece is a little too long. I like the reveal that I have right here. I'm going to put one pin in this. Now I can better see what's going on with my bottom piece. My bottom piece is about a 1/16 of an inch too long. So I'm going to go give it a little trim and we'll get it on. With my bottom piece of trim down, I took a 1/16 off of it. I'm going to go ahead and get that set into place. And get one pin in it. We didn't shoot a nail. Then I'm going to come over and just push these two into place where they need to be. Now that everything's tacked into place with one pin, I'm just going to go around and get it nailed the way that I want it. And anything that needs to be manipulated up or down, I'll do that then. This one also needs a pin. Now that it's completely nailed on, I just need to fill the nail holes with wood putty. I'm just using some white DAP plastic wood. Fill them up. You don't want to let this stuff dry super long before you sand it. A couple hours. If you wait too long, it just turns into concrete. It can be pretty difficult to sand. Now that the wood putty's dry, we're going to go ahead and get it all sanded down. I'm using some 220 grit. It takes it down really quick. And then for the profile right here, we're just going to kind of roll the sandpaper over so that you have a little edge and just come up into this profile. There we have it. I'm going to keep sanding this down, and then we'll come back and we'll get these caulked inside here. The last thing I need to do is caulk these edges, and I also want to caulk this inner casing on all four corners. I'm using a trim caulk, and I just want to put a light bead through here. A lot of times I would use my finger to smooth this caulk, but in this case I'm using this caulking tool. It is pretty simple, and I like it in these instances because it does not push a dent in the caulk where the little gap is, but rather just cleans it away nice and clean. I'm going to keep the excess wiped off of it. I'm going to go ahead and complete this, and we'll come back and take a look at it. All the caulking is complete. This window is complete. It just needs some primer on this wood, and then it needs some paint. That's all we got for this time. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd greatly appreciate it if you did so. Hit that notification bell, because there's a lot of stuff going on in this room. Fortunately for me, this is the last piece of the puzzle. We just need to get some paint in here, and then I'm going to reveal the entire room, everything that was changed, every update that was made, and I'll put a tag at each piece of that video so that if you missed anything along the way, you can go back and have a look at it. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those two videos that are going to pop up next to me, and we'll see you soon.